Senior Life Journeys presents Carol Howell's Let's Talk Dementia, a podcast designed to help caregivers find knowledge, power, hope, and smiles in their dementia caregiving journey. Welcome to Let's Talk Dementia. Here is your host, best-selling author, Carol Howell.
Welcome to Let's Talk Dementia. I'm Carol Howell, your host. Thank you for joining me today. Well, we're going to talk today about a type of dementia that I have recently learned of. It's new for me. I had not heard of it before. I can tell you that in my world, I see there's a lot of confusion about two things besides just dementia in general. One is getting benefits to help care for your individual who has dementia through Medicaid, and also getting benefits through the VA. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that and how I can help direct you to get those benefits. But first I want to tell you about a new type of dementia I've learned about called Gulf War illness. And it is a disease or a syndrome. I'm not sure it's a disease, but potentially a syndrome. But it affects veterans who have served in the Gulf War. First of all, if you are one of our veterans who have served in any capacity at any point, whether you were involved in combat or you are stateside or whatever, but you gave of your time and your life away from your family to serve our country, well, my hat's off to you, and I thank you for that, for being that kind of person. Well, Gulf War illness is an inflammation of the brain. Brain inflammation, Gulf War illness, that's what it is. We know that of the people who served in the Gulf War, 1/3 of those veterans, or about 250,000 people, are affected by Gulf War illness. And it's exposure to substances that are toxic to the neurons. So how do they get exposed to these substances? Good question. Well, two ways. Buried rockets were intentionally exploded, and the veterans were exposed to aceton gas, S-E-T-O-N. I'm not entirely sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that aceton gas changed the white matter in the brain, and the white matter, the primary function of the white matter in the brain is for a pathway for connecting the different areas of the brain. It's very important. And they were also exposed, or they also inhaled smoke from oil fields that were burned. They were intentionally burned, and they inhaled that smoke. They have now what is called Gulf War illness. The symptoms of Gulf War illness are varied and many, and these are just a few. Let me go over the list. Chronic fatigue that is not relieved with rest. Headaches, joint pain or fibromyalgia, indigestion, insomnia, morning stiffness. The first time I read this list, I read it as morning sickness. I thought, that's weird. But it's not. It's morning stiffness. Headaches, gastrointestinal issues such as irritable bowel syndrome, weight loss, cardiological issues, menstrual disorders, psychiatric problems, skin issues, sleep issues, dizziness, respiratory disorders, and guess what? Memory loss. Yes, that's true. But what we have found out is the veterans who are being diagnosed with Gulf War illness don't have just one or two of those symptoms. They have a bunch of those symptoms, almost always having memory loss. So they have dementia, the inability to think clearly that is affecting their activities of daily living, plus they've got a host of other physical issues. Now you can take that list of physical issues and you can apply them to many, many diseases or disorders or syndromes that we all face, or not all of us, but many of us face. But what we are seeing is an accumulation of those in these veterans who served in the Gulf War. As I said, 1/3 of veterans have been shown to have Gulf War illness. Did I stutter enough on that? 1/3 of the veterans, 250,000 people affected by Gulf War illness. Now that's kind of crazy. I watched a show that I learned about this on where they take cases that no one can solve. They can't figure out what's wrong with these people, and they pull together a panel of professionals from all over the world who weigh in to say, oh, I think it's this or I think it's that. And the gentleman that they were looking to help was later diagnosed with Gulf War illness. His life had just come to nothing. He couldn't function. He couldn't be by himself. He couldn't remember the daily things he needed to do to care for himself. Somebody had to remind him to eat. It was just horrific what this Gulf War did to people. The VA prefers to call it multi-symptom illness. Now, to me, that just sounds like they're trying to downplay the fact that these folks' lives are changed forever because they served in the Gulf War. Why don't we just call it what it is? Huh? Somebody explain that to me. So if your veteran has symptoms similar to what I've read, and they've had them for at least 6 months, they served in the Southwest Asia Theater of Military Operations, they currently have at least a 10% disability rating from the VA, then they may qualify for disability compensation. And what I'd like for you to do is to register them. There is a Gulf War registry, and it has a health exam there, and the registry address is www.warrelatedillness.va.gov/ again, www.warrelatedillness.va.gov/ and there you'll find the Gulf War Registry Health Exam. Register your veteran or yourself and begin the process of finding more about, do you have Gulf War illness, and is there a disability rating for that whereby you might can get some help for your issues and how it's affecting your life. So that brings me to the fact that I said a lot of people are confused about Medicaid. We're not going to cover that today. But a lot of folks are confused about getting VA benefits and if they qualify for them and how to get them. So as I've told you before, I am a big proponent of National Association of Veterans and Families. They are one of our sponsors. You hear about them at the end of every one of our shows, and we thank them for sponsoring us. But I only have sponsors that I believe in. If you've got a product to sell that I don't like, I'm not advertising for you, but these folks are amazing. I have used them personally to help get benefits for my brother-in-law and for my mama and many of my clients. I want you to call them at 800-352-2919. Tell them Carol sent you, and you would like to find out what benefits your loved one or you yourself or the spouse of the veteran, either one or both, might be entitled to. Now, you're probably going to need to leave them a message, and they'll call you back. I promise you they will. Always do. And I hear back from people going, those are the nicest folks at NAVF. And then it's true, they really are. But one thing you want to have with you before you call them is the discharge papers from being in service. And that discharge paper is called a DD-214. If you have that in front of you, they're going to ask you some questions that you can answer directly from that piece of paper. If you don't have that, then you're going to have it to apply for the benefit. You're going to need that, and I recommend that you begin the search for it in Daddy's closet or where Mama might keep things or wherever you stuck things. And if you can't find it, go ahead and call NAVF at 800-352-2919. Tell them you need help getting a DD-214, and they can help point you in the right direction to get that form. That's a little time consuming, I can tell you, because the government, well, they're just not quick on much of anything, and they're not quick on helping veterans. And they're not quick on helping you get that form, but you got to have it, and you're going to need it for other things. So, and when you get it, put it in a strong box and keep it safe. It's an important piece of paper. Well, I hope that gives you some information, helps you realize that there are other kinds of dementia. We talk about dementia a lot. That's what this show is called, Let's Talk Dementia. It's not called Let's Talk Alzheimer's or Let's Talk Parkinson's or Let's Talk Gulf War illness, because there are so many kinds of dementia. And, well, that's a new one. Gulf War illness is a new one for me, and I thought I would share it with you. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have blessings and smiles. Hope you get benefits for your veteran, if you are the veteran or the spouse of the veteran or whatever. And write me with your questions, Carol at letstalkdementia.org. Have a great day. Let's Talk Dementia would like to thank our sponsors, National Association of Veterans and Families. You can reach them at 800-352-2919, on the internet at www.navf.org. They speak veterans so you don't have to, and you tell them Carol sent you when you call to inquire about benefits for the veteran, the spouse of the veteran, or both. Editor Beth. You can find Miss Beth Crosby at editorbeth.com. She is amazing at looking at what you've written and making sure it represents you well. Find her at www.editorbeth.com. And HD Imports, located on Flint Street Extension in Rock Hill, South Carolina. That's York County. 803-985-0985. They are there for the repair and maintenance of your Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Kia. Tell them Carol sent you.
Thanks for joining us today for Carol Howell's Let's Talk Dementia. To learn more about dementia, we recommend Carol's best-selling book, also titled Let's Talk Dementia. It's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions. Be sure to like Let's Talk Dementia on Facebook and leave us a kind word of review on iTunes. Remember, knowledge brings power. Power brings hope. Hope brings smiles. And we all need more smiles. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll be right here when you come back to Let's Talk Dementia.